All right, welcome back, everybody. PayPal and Patreon are down below if you want to support me. Only do so if you actually can. So it looks like initial outlooks, initial assessments of the oil-bearing potential of offshore Namibia may have been decently underestimated, actually. Just a few days ago, a third oil discovery, large oil discovery like the others, was made offshore of Namibia, and all three of these just being in one particular focused southwestern block offshore. The three so far being on the southern end of this semi-bowl fan portion at the edge of the sloping shelf that Namibia has offshore, and the rougher, more likely estimate being somewhere around probably a total of 6.5 billion barrels shared between these discoveries, which is quite a bit. I mean, just going off of a Guyana comparison, the first 6.5 billion barrels found offshore of Guyana were enough to set it for a production level eventually of about 800,000 barrels per day once all of those associated fields are brought online. So at least the same could be expected for Namibia once these first three fields are brought online, the first of which will be starting in 2026, if I remember correctly. However, as opposed to previously comparing it to having a similar offshore arrangement or setup as Angola, that actually looks to no longer be the case. For one, on my own part at least, taking a look at them again, Angola actually doesn't have that nice of an offshore shelf. It's quite a bit messier and goes deeper more quickly. It doesn't have the gentle sloping, and especially not gentle sloping for as long as Namibia does. And the fields being found offshore of Namibia so far are larger than those that were typically found off of Angola, and as I said, larger than those being found offshore of Guyana. So, in reality, and especially comparing the two, Namibia is starting to actually look a lot more like the southern offshore portion of Brazil, an incredible offshore sloping region directly adjacent to onshore highlands or onshore immediate elevation, which is quite similar to the setup in Namibia as well, and a region that has turned up such prolific amounts of oil as to bring Brazil up to now about 3.2 or 3.3 million barrels per day of production. And within the next few years, as additional fields are being brought online offshore Brazil, it will bring it closer up to 4 million barrels per day. Now, Namibia may not have as much. However, Namibia very well may be able to get up to similar numbers because remember, Brazil's gradual climb up to this has come over the course of decades and has been at times stalled by oil price crashes and long pronounced periods of low oil prices, like most of the 1990s. Time periods that, for the most part now, are not going to be around anymore. So, unlike Brazil or even their northern neighbor Angola, Namibia isn't going to be held back by any great prolonged halts or stoppages in exploration. So, barring any, I don't know, asteroid impacts or anything, Namibia is going to be able to start up production and just keep on going upwards without any major interruptions, as long as the exploration and development continues at this current pace. With the new developments and new data and this new outlook, I am actually going to put forward that Namibia is not just going to reach and exceed, I previously said, Angola's levels. Namibia is actually likely to greatly exceed that. And I would honestly now see them going up towards a peak of sorts, probably more like around 3.5 to 4.5 million barrels per day a couple decades from now. And obviously, they will be coming into their age of oil production at the perfect time, no less, as they will begin becoming a major oil exporter during the age of permanently elevated prices, although they're going to become the normal prices during the age of permanently high oil prices. So, oil and gas outlook for Namibia is actually very high. But that's it for this one. So, thank you everybody for sticking around and listening. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already. PayPal and Patreon are down there if you want to support me. Only do so if you actually can. And go subscribe to my cat's channel, help us get up to 1,000 subs, and hopefully up to enough watch hours to get her channel monetized eventually. But no matter what happens to me, may God bless and protect all of you, and I will see you all around next time.